It's just that's how we do it. All right, I'm Jay Swick here broadcasting live at Wes Welker Foundation 7-on-7 tournament and football camp here at Taft Stadium. We're glad to be here, man, and we've got the man of the hour, Wes Welker himself. Wes, how you doing?
Pretty good, Jason. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for coming, man. Really appreciate it.
We're so excited to be here. I mean, this is just a great way to prepare for the upcoming football season. This is where it starts, and I love that you've implemented the lineman camp. You've got the 7-on-7 portion, and competition. Like, this is serious. You're not just going out here going through the motions. I mean, there's some serious rivalries here that are developed here that carry over into the fall. It's really a cool thing. When did you decide, hey, this is something that I want to implement?
I think we had the foundation early on in my career, and as we started going, we did like a football camp for younger type kids, and we saw a need. All these 7-on-7 tournaments were kind of going on, and a lot of these teams, from the inner city area of Oklahoma City and different things, like they just didn't really have the support to be able to go to these 7-on-7 tournaments. So it was like, you know what, let's put one on for them. And it's been a great opportunity to have these kids come out here and just have a chance to get better and have a tournament, have a chance to compete. A lot of these teams they see during the season, and some of them they're in different classifications, and so it's just cool. It's almost kind of become like a deal around Oklahoma City of, all right, who's kind of the top dog going into the season, and who's taking home the championship trophy at the end of the day.
And talk about just initially setting up the Wes Welker Foundation. How long has it been around? I know Shannon Love does a tremendous job as executive director. We talked with her earlier, but it had to start with a thought, with an idea, and then you've actually cultured and built into what it is today.
Right.
How did it start? What inspired you to do it?
Well, it's about 20 years ago. My brother and sister-in-law were both teachers at the time. My sister-in-law was still a teacher, but she was at a small elementary school. Really bad conditions, and you just hear all the stories and stuff that she deals with, and these kids taking home food for the weekend, and their older brother ends up eating or whatever it is. You just hear a lot of the kind of sadder type stories that go on, and and I think through sports and everything else, for myself, it always kept me out of trouble, kept a lot of kids I grew up with and everything out of trouble, and we wanted to do something to help the community and any way we could, and so it kind of started with that thought, and we got to a point where we started putting in weight rooms and different things like that, and really just investing in coaches and people around the Oklahoma City area. And my board our board is amazing, and they do such an amazing job of finding the need and also finding the people that we want to invest in, and we put in weight rooms to schools who with 1 in 10, and then 2 years later they're winning the state championship. So it's been really cool to see, and a lot of that comes from the coaches of just needing that financial support and needing the resources to go out and really dive into these kids and help them any way they can. And so when we find those people, we want to really invest in them and give them all the resources they need to help these kids be better.
Well, it's an amazing job, and I hate to think about what football would be like without some of the things that you guys do for all of these other athletic programs. It really is tremendous. And we've been watching the 7-on-7 portion with all these guys compete. Anybody stand out to you?
Man,
any specific team?
Well, PC North has looked really good. PCO's looking good out here. I mean, there's a lot of good teams out here. Obviously, Millwood is always going to be tough in this tournament. But yeah, I mean, PC North is kind of bringing the juice right now. I'm telling you, like their coaches and everything, they're into it, and they got their sidelines into it, and it's fun competition, and the kids are having fun out here competing and going after it, and I'd love to see that.
And you came out of Heritage Hall in 2000, won a state championship in '98. Was 7-on-7 a thing at that point, or has it really kind of grown tremendously over the past couple of years?
It was a thing, but I remember, I think they had a tournament like out in Piedmont. I think there was one in Edmond at one point. Those were like the only two real local ones that we went to. But we traveled to Colorado State, KU, some different things like that. Just trying to get as much work as we could during the off season, and I think 7-on-7 definitely paid a lot of dividends for our team to have the opportunity to be better once the season starts. So it's not like you just show up for training camp. It's the first time you've been playing ball.
Yeah, and developing that chemistry with quarterbacks, wide receivers, something you know a lot about. Now, you haven't played football in a while. What have you been up to? I know the people loved watching you play at Texas Tech, and then for a lot of different NFL teams at that level. What has life been like for you since you've retired?
Yeah, so I took a year off after playing. I needed a whole year to go by with nobody calling, and so once that happened, I got through that year. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and Pastor Tane was actually I was living down in Florida, was the head football coach at American Heritage down there. So I went to some of those practices, kind of helped out there, and I was like, man, I don't know, high school level is 8 or 9 or college or pro, and then I went and met with some buddies in Houston. Larry Rizzo and Mike Grable were on the staff there, and Bill Bryan, who was my position coach and offense coordinator in New England, was the head coach. Kind of talked with him and told him something I might be interested in, and we met at the Senior Bowl after the season and talked and kind of got into coaching and was there in Houston for 2 years, and then got the wide receiver coaching job in San Francisco. Was there for 3, and during that time my family was in Houston, so I was really wanting to get back with them, and Miami was a place that I lived in before and did really well, and ended up moving there and was there for 3 years, and now recently just moved up with Washington Commanders. So it's been kind of a journey, but it's been really cool. Meeting so many different people, being around some really good ball, different aspects of it, and I've been very fortunate and blessed to just be around such good people, and especially now with the Commanders. Like I'm about as happy as I've been, and being with this organization and the team. It's a really cool deal, a really special environment.
Well, I think athletes have a lot to learn from you, Wes. I mean, you revolutionized the slot receiver position. Feels like every smaller size wide receiver out there gets compared to Wes Welker. Is that a weird feeling? Is that something you're proud of? What do you think about that? Because everyone gets compared to you.
Yeah, no, it is funny. You'll sit there sometimes and some guy will be 6'2" but white, and he's Wes Welker. I'm like, no, dude, he's 6'2", bro. Like, he runs 4'3", that ain't me. But it's very flattering, man. Now I've been very blessed, man, to have the opportunity to play in the environments I've played in, and it's been a really cool deal. But no, it's definitely humbling, when you hear people say, whatever, he's next, this or that or whatever. But it's a cool deal. But at the same time, just try and keep a level head.
Now, you're with the Washington Commanders now. What an interesting franchise, especially after last year. Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback, getting to the NFC title game, literally one quarter away from getting into the Super Bowl. The future just looks so bright. Then you've added Deebo Samuel. Like, my goodness, what a special place to be. What was that a conversation? Did Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator, your former teammate, just call you up and said, "Hey, Wes, I need you. I need you"?
You know what? I mean, Cliff really wasn't a part of the process at all. I'd been with Adam Peters, the GM. I was with him in New England. I was with him in Denver. I was with him in San Fran. And so, anyways, we were talking, and anyways, he kind of brought it up, and he talked to Dan Quinn, which Dan Quinn was the D-line coach when I played in Miami years ago. So I knew DQ, and so anyways, went to the combine and had a great conversation with DQ and everything. And I could tell it was just the right fit with the right people at the right time. And, we've been very blessed to have the opportunity to work with this organization and just happen to be a part of it, really.
Well, I think it's the beginning of something special that we saw last year, and now that they've added you, Wes Welker, as a part of that. There's just the trajectory is going in the right spot. It's got to be good. Let me ask you about your former coach, Mike Leach, passed away a few years ago. That shocked me when that happened. I've never really heard you talk publicly about that since.
Yeah.
What was your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, it was sad. I mean, that guy, he meant a lot to me. I mean, gave me the opportunity to play, at an elite level, especially at a time when, I wasn't getting any scholarships, and he signed me a week after signing day. I'm sure in the back of his mind he even thought, what am I doing? But yeah, I mean, he really changed the trajectory of my whole career, and being a part of that air raid offense, and I just loved his demeanor and the way he went about things, because it was different than any coach I had before or since, just because he didn't care if it was 4th and 20, he might go for it. He would say and do, unorthodox things, and you know what, it worked for him, and I loved that about him. And he was his own man, and we definitely miss him, and it really changed the trajectory of my whole career. Getting the opportunity to be a part of his offense and learn from him. And he was a UBS type of guy, and he loved golf, and he loved his players, and he's saying good things about him.
And I knew how much he meant to you as a football player, but also as just a mentor. You went undrafted. Right. You've been through some things. You had to create your career from scratch, earning your spot just to get to the next day, get to being on the practice squad, getting onto a roster. What do you tell young athletes that go through similar things, that aspire to do what you've done, but are just at the bottom and they're grinding? What do you say to them?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing that happens is, there's not a ton of reps that happen, especially as you're like a bottom end type guy. So just understanding that every opportunity you get, and a lot of times, a lot of these practices are scripted, and so it's like, all right, this player's getting the ball in this play because of the coverage or whatever it is, and so the offs that come up just aren't very many, and so a lot of guys kind of go in the tank. And they, I'm not getting my shot, and then all of a sudden you do when you miss your opportunity. Right. And so it's just a matter of staying consistent day after day, even if it's run blocking and you're on the backside, show up in the screen. Whatever it is that you got to do to get noticed, so maybe they do give you that off at some point because you're busting your ass as much as you can. And I think a lot of guys just get their heads down. And so the main thing is just staying with it, staying consistent, and day after day, just continue to bring it and, you know, give yourself a chance, give yourself an opportunity, and then when that opportunity comes, go make the play. I tell them the story of I was in San Diego, and that whole deal was happening to me, and so I'm just trying to work and do whatever I need to do, and we're like in the second preseason game, and one of our our starting offense is out there. It's Drew Brees and Daniel Tomlinson, and anyways, one of our receivers goes down, and some of the guys are over there just kind of screwing around, and James Lofton, it kind of happened late, is my wide receiver coach, and I'm strapped up, I'm next to him, I'm watching everything that's going on, and just paying attention, and so anyways, we don't have a receiver, and so he just grabs me and said, go. Well, I go out there, we have one check in the game plan, and it was against an off-man look. And so, anyways, I go out there, and if we get this off-man look, we're going to run a sluggo route, which is slam and go. And so, anyways, we get the look. Drew Brees sits there and checks to it. My very first play in, I run a slam and go and score a touchdown. And it's just like, oh, and then the coaching staff starts to go back, oh, and then the next week I return a punt for a touchdown. And it's like, and then it's like, you know, let's get this guy some more ups. And then they sit there and I keep on making plays and keep on making plays for camp and, you know, end up making the team. But it can change like that. And so I think it was always like a great illustration for those guys to just understand, like, yeah, this whole spring went by and like whatever happened, and then, you know, you don't know when that opportunity is going to come, and if that opportunity has come up, who knows what would have happened. And so just consistently staying in it, man, and it's always been a big learning lesson for myself in anything that I do or take part in, to just, you know, be present and you know, give your best shot, and when that off comes, you know, take advantage.
And sometimes it may just be one opportunity, but if you do something with it, you know, it'll get you another. So really cool stuff. Now you talk about kick, catch, and pass with Drew Brees. You also caught passes from a guy named Thomas Edward Patrick Brady, then Peyton Manning as well. Can you, I mean, and those guys are in the public eye all the time, but is there anything you can tell our listeners that they may not know about those guys and just your experience of playing football with them?
You know, I think everybody kind of knows, but you know, like the accountability that they keep within the team and the organization, you know, that quarterback position kind of sets the tone for what your team is going to be. And anytime you're the best player on your team or the leader of your team, those guys are what makes the engine run. And everybody else will follow suit with what it should be. And so I thought those guys always did an incredible job of leading by example, but also knowing when to pull a guy aside or when to, you know, maybe get a little more vocal or whatever it is. But, you know, they're the type of guys that want leading the organization and keeping that accountability, you know, even with coaches or anybody else, make sure that, you know, the ship's running in the right direction.
Well, I think it's so wonderful that you continue to give back to the community you grew up in, and that's just a testament to your character, Wes. And who knows where we would be without some of the help that the Wes Welker Foundation has had over the years. I mean, it feels like right now that Oklahoma City is the epicenter of sports. We got the Women's College World Series going on. We've got the NBA Finals, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Are you taking in any Thunder games while you're in town?
You know what? I really thought about going. You know, the problem is I'm only here for, you know, 3 days and doing this camp and golf tournament and stuff, and so, you know, it was actually a good opportunity for our family just kind of to get together. And so, you know, it was like, you know, I really wanted to go to the game, but at the same time, it's kind of nice just sitting at home with your family and nephews and niece coming over, and my brother and his sister-in-law, and everybody just kind of getting together and being able to watch the basketball game and just kind of hang out at the house. So I think we're going to do that, but we'll definitely be watching the game. Definitely be pulling for the Thunder, man. Been watching their run throughout this, and the NBA playoffs has been really cool to watch. So I've enjoyed watching these guys and watching their moments come.
Right. It just feels like the entire world is focused in. My last question, real quick. You're a Heritage Hall alum. You've won state in '98. They've won 7 state championships since then. Are you pretty impressed with the way that your alma mater has evolved in the job that Coach Andy Bogert, Brett Bogert has done? Are you watching that from afar?
Absolutely. No, I'm definitely. It's unbelievable all the stuff that they've done. It's really funny, like looking back. Heritage Hall was never known as like a football school when I was growing up. It was more academics and with the chubby kids, whatever, and all that stuff. And so it's been really cool to see, Sterling Shepard go on to have success, and Barry Sanders Jr. and like all these different players over the years, that have really changed the culture of Heritage Hall football. But really, when Andy Bogert came, it was my sophomore year, and when he came and installed his offense, I knew it was going to be different. And they're just putting his players in position to succeed in some of the concepts and ways of doing things. I was like, oh yeah, no, we're about to do something.
It's clicking.
And such great football minds within the bread, and they do an unbelievable job. Really kind of turn that whole thing around. Along with Rob they've all aligned and been about the right stuff, and that's what the organizations need.
Wes Welker, ladies and gentlemen, here to the Wes Welker Foundation 7-on-7 Tournament Football Camp. So glad you've been able to put on this event specifically, and so many different teams would benefit because of it. I want to commend you for that. Look forward to seeing what the Washington Commanders do this fall, and what you're up to, and follow along.
Absolutely, man. No, it's been really cool, man. We've this foundation has been such a cool deal, and all the people that work on it, and the whole board is really unbelievable. And, we've given, I think it's around like $2.5 million to the Oklahoma City area over the years, and we want to do more and more and more, and just continue to grow this thing and make it the best it can be.
Well, I can already tell you we'll be here next year. All right. We'll rehash this conversation.
I would love that. Thank you so much for coming out, too. Really appreciate the support, man. It means a lot.
Yeah, you bet. Wes Welker, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Wes Welker Foundation 7-on-7 Tournament. We'll take a quick commercial break.